1. Nose job. Tasting has little to do with taste. The sensory analyst rides a Harley. There are surely many things she enjoys about traveling by motorcycle, but the one Sue Langstaff mentions to me is the way the air, the great and odorous out of doors, is shoved into her nose. It's a big, lasting, passive sniff. This is why dogs stick their heads out the car window. It's not for the feeling of the wind in their hair. When you have a nose like a dog has, or Sue Langstaff, you take in the sights by smell. Here is California's Highway 29 between Napa and St. Helena through Langstaff's nose. Cut grass, diesel from the wine train locomotive, sulfur being sprayed on grapes, garlic from Bottega Ristorante, rotting vegetation from low tide on the Napa River, toasting oak from the Demptos cooperage, hydrogen sulfide from the Calistoga mineral baths, grilling meat and onions from Gott's Drive-In, alcohol evaporating off the open fermenters at Whitehall Lane Winery, dirt from a vineyard tiller, smoking meats at Mustard's Grill, manure, hay. Author's note. A few words on sniffing. Without it, or a Harley, you miss all but the most potent of smells going on around you. Only 5 to 10% of air inhaled while breathing normally reaches the olfactory epithelium at the roof of the nasal cavity. Olfaction researchers in need of a controlled, consistently sized sniff use an olfactometer to deliver odorant pulses. The technique replaces the rather more vigorous blast olfactometry as well as the original olfactometer, which connected to a glass and aluminum box called the camera inodorata. The subject's head was placed in the box, wrote the inventor, alarmingly, in 1921. Tasting, in the sense of wine tasting, and of what Sue Langstaff does when she evaluates a product, is mostly smelling. The exact verb would be flavoring, if that could be a verb in the same way tasting and smelling are. Flavor is a combination of taste, sensory input from the surface of the tongue, and smell, but mostly it's the latter. Humans perceive 5 tastes: sweet, bitter, salty, sour, and umami, brothy, and an almost infinite number of smells. 80 to 90% of the sensory experience of eating is olfaction. Langstaff could throw away her tongue and still do a reasonable facsimile of her job. Her job. It's a kind of sensory forensics. People come to me and say, "My wine stinks. What happened?" Langstaff can read the stink. Off flavors, or defects in the professional's parlance, are clues to what went wrong. An olive oil with a flavor of straw or hay suggests a problem with desiccated olives. A beer with a hospital smell is an indication that the brewer may have used chlorinated water, even just to rinse the equipment. The wine flavors leather and horse sweat are tells for the spoilage yeast Brettanomyces. The nose is a fleshy gas chromatograph. As you chew food or hold wine in the warmth of your mouth, aromatic gases are set free. As you exhale, these volatiles waft up through the posterior nares, the internal nostrils at the back of the mouth, and connect with olfactory receptors in the upper reaches of the nasal cavity. The technical name for this internal smelling is retronasal olfaction. The more familiar sniffing of aromas through the external nostrils is called orthonasal olfaction. The information is passed on to the brain, which scans for a match. What sets a professional nose apart from an everyday nose is not so much its sensitivity to the many aromas in a food or drink, but the ability to tease them apart and identify them. Like this: dried cherries, molasses, blackstrap. Langstaff is sniffing a strong dark ale called Noel. We are at Beer Revolution, an amply stocked, mildly skunky bar in Oakland, California, where I have an office. In the city, not the bar, and Langstaff has a parent in the hospital. She could use a drink. And we have 4. For demonstration purposes. Author's note. Skunky is between rotten egg and canned corn on the defects wheel for beer. Langstaff designed diagnostic wheels for off flavors in wine, beer, and olive oil. In the absence of skunks, a mild